Good morning from Austin, Texas, what feels like the allergy capital of the world. And it's great to be with you this morning. Today I'm going to talk to you about something that is pretty grounding and is a tough conversation. The backdrop of it is the other night I was driving with my youngest son, who is 16, who is a high school baseball pitcher who's being recruited by some pretty high-level schools right now. And we were driving and I said, okay, I got good news and I got bad news. I said, the good news is some pretty high-level schools have seen your videos and they are really interested. And he was like, okay. I said, the bad news is some of them are no longer interested because your GPA is pretty not up to their par. And he laughed and we both understood. We knew that going in. And then he said something that was hilarious, but yet really pointed. He said, well, when I was a freshman, I didn't know that I'd be getting recruited by the university, blah, 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 blah. And I said, oh, buddy, how I can relate to you that I had no idea that the choices that I would make would bring about the reality that has come my way. Today I'm going to talk to you about failure and what failure teaches us, what it's taught me, what it has brought about in my life. Because if you're watching these types of videos, either you or your significant other has experienced a pretty significant moral failure. And at the end of the day, failure teaches us far more than success does. Failure teaches us some things that we will never experience through success or things going our way. As I continued driving with my son the other night, I started to think about failure and how it affects us. And we hate to fail. Failure is embarrassing. Failure just brings up so much inside of us. We feel insufficient. We get angry at ourselves. We get angry at other people. We feel embarrassment. We want to hide. We want to just turtle up. We, as human beings, hate to fail. Failure makes us feel insufficient. It's like our worst fears come true. We feel not enough. And if we live in the public eye, or if our failure is anywhere near public, it has even more of a devastating effect to ourselves, to our loved ones, to our family who are caught in the crosshairs. And of course, our spouse or significant other has to live through that failure with us. With respect to that, I'm not going to get into what failure does to other people. Today I'm just talking in no particular order about some things that failure will teach us in hopes that you can grab hold of these things as well. Because you may be feeling like a failure. You may have failed. You may feel like your life is over. You may be experiencing a range of emotions that you've never felt at this level before. My hope is that these points, these moments of sobriety and awareness can help you, can speak to you, and that you'll grab hold of them as well. Maybe you haven't absorbed the total effect of your failure yet. Maybe you haven't embraced the consequences fully, and maybe this will help you. At the end of the day, I've learned that my choices have consequences, and that I am accountable for the damage that my choices have made in my own life, certainly, but in the lives of other people that have suffered because of my choices. I've learned that I can be a human wrecking ball and that my choices can bring absolute turmoil to other people's lives. And that I cannot blame that turmoil on them, but I have to embrace it because it was my choice, my responsibility. I've also had to own the fact that I can damage other people by my choices, and I am accountable for that damage. Now, some people may say, I'm not ready for you to help me heal. That could be a spouse, a significant other, somebody caught in the crosshairs of my choices, and I have to accept that. When it comes to marriage Or relationships. Some people may say, I'm not ready for you yet to help me. You have damaged me so much. I am not ready for you to be a vessel of healing or reconciliation yet. And I have to own that. I have to own the fact that I've caused this for myself, and I have to own the fact that I've caused this immense pain inside of them. I've also learned that contrary to what some people will say and believe, that I am in fact forgivable. I've learned that I am actually worthy of love. I'm worthy of acceptance. I'm worthy of forgiveness. I've learned that I'm worthy of a second chance, although not everybody in my life has given me a second chance, and that's okay. That is their choice. It is their choice how they heal from the damage that my choices inflicted upon them. That is their right. That is their choice. I cannot control how they respond to the wounding that my choices have brought about, which leads me to my next point, which is I have learned that I have the power to significantly wound other people, but I also have the power to significantly heal others who will allow me. But failure has taught me the facts of my choices and how I can bring about healing or damage, pain or restoration. And that's a lot to have to own. Through a lot of professional help, I've also learned that I am extremely resilient in spite of incredible failure. Now, I'm not trying to do a narcissistic switch and talk about how awesome I am. I'm so resilient. No. I've experienced some incredible failure. I've had other people fail me. I've grown up with as I've come to realize, some pretty agonizing, painful environment and abuse and neglect, and I've been able to overcome that. I've experienced a lot of pain because of that, but I've been pretty dang resilient in spite of my failures and in spite of colossal failure, both athletically, financially, and even morally. I've also experienced the reality that nobody has it all figured out. I've had the pleasure of talking to people that some are on TV, some you'll never meet or hear about. But there is this unifying factor that they've experienced failure in their life at some level. Some of them have committed moral failure and had an affair or an addiction. Some of them are the victims of their spouse or significant other's failure. At the end of the day, though, we all experience failure. None of us have it all figured out. We're trying to do the best that we can. But failure unites us in a way that's far different than success. When you come to our EMS weekend, for example, and you see couples who feel safe for the first time in a long time, and they're talking to other couples saying, exactly, that's what, yeah. Or if you're an unfaithful spouse and you're talking to another unfaithful and you're like, yeah, here's what's happened. And they say, man, I totally get it. Here's what's happened with me. Or if you're a betrayed and you say, well, my spouse did this, and they're able to say, well, yeah, my spouse did that. And there's a unifying moment where they feel like, okay, you know what? I'm not the only one. We're learning some things together. And oh yes, it would be great if you were at a different conference and it was a Bitcoin or it was some hugely successful conference where it's like, yes, you've done this and I've done that, but we're not. And we accept where we're at, and we're not going to continually live in denial that this failure has happened. But I've experienced some incredible healing and joy and life and sobriety that's come through failure. And I'm confident that you will too. I've also learned that some of my worst fears can come true, and I can heal from that. Even though I brought it on myself, even though I'm responsible and nobody else is, the fact is, those fears came true. My failure came out into the public, and I have had to be resilient, and I've had to keep standing. I've learned that I can fail what feels like immeasurably and get back up again, and so can you. I've learned that I can fail and be okay. Please do not misunderstand today's video as though I am making excuses to say, just get over it, you'll be fine, or this will all work out for good. Absolutely not. What I'm saying is, for you that have failed or experienced failure and you feel like your life is over, I want to tell you that it's not. I want to tell you that you can get back up. I want to tell you that you're going to be okay. I want to tell you that you're going to have to own some things. But through ownership, we find healing, we find accountability, we find congruence, we find wholeness. I hope that you can embrace the fact that you have failed and embrace accountability and responsibility. But then I hope that you can embrace restoration for yourself, that you have failed and you're going to be okay and you're going to get back up again. And you may not have all the answers right now. You may not have it all figured out, and that's okay too. But you've got to keep standing, you've got to keep healing, and you've got to keep going.